Well, hello. It's wonderful seeing you again, Bianca. I'm going to begin by allowing you to introduce yourself and your company.
Hey there. I'm Bianca Nelson, founder and executive director of Learning to Live Movement, and we provide travel opportunities for high school students of color. Majority of our students are out of Baltimore, Maryland, but we're expanding little by little. Um, we provide passports for them, and we provide enrichment retreats throughout the year for our students. So that's like us in a nutshell. Um,
Wonderful,
just living
wonderful.
by travel being education. So,
Got it, got it. So, how long have you been running Learning to Live
since
movement?
2015, um,
Okay.
I started LTL after a 30-day journey in Australia. And I got back and I'm like, I have to do something to figure out, um, how I can provide opportunities for students that's growing up the way that I grew up to see the world and understand that there's more than Baltimore,
Got
way more
it.
than Baltimore and more to themselves than they realize. So I got back in 2014, um, and I started LTL in 2015.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your background growing up and what kind of informed um, your growth and your passion for this project and this business.
Yeah, so funny story. So I grew up in Baltimore.
Mhm.
I lived in Baltimore City for half of my childhood, and then we moved into Baltimore County for the other half. Graduated from Woodlawn High School, went to Milford High School for a year. So when I was in high school, my mom, she has, one, throughout my childhood, I was very, very blessed. We were not rich, we didn't have it, but my mom, my aunties, all their friends, they all came together at least once a year every summer and we went on a trip. And it was just a
Ah,
girl trip. So it was Myrtle Beach, Virginia Beach, Ocean City, stuff like that.
ah, ah,
So stuff close to home, right? We
got
didn't
it,
get on any airplanes, nothing to that,
got
nothing to
it.
that level. But we did get to travel up and down the coast, at least in a car. So we got to see things. So that was like the little bit of taste of travel.
Got it.
Um, but then as I got older and I was a Disney Channel like fanatic. So I love Disney
Uh-huh.
Channel. I used to always watch shows and just always see kids of other backgrounds living this life. And I'm like, oh, I wanna experience that stuff. I wanna see that stuff like that. So that's where I started to get curious. I started to read books. I was always that kid. Like if I heard something that I knew nothing about, I would go and research it and dig deep into it. Like, what is this?
Got it.
So my mom's business, she is a patient placement. I always get my tongue twisted. Patient placement agency. And she's been doing that for the last like 25 years, I want to say. So when we were a kid, we had a client living with us that when her parents were coming to like visit her,
Uh-huh.
and they were talking about how they had just came back from this amazing journey, right? And I just was ear hustling. And what I thought them say, I just found out probably like literally a year ago that I heard the wrong place, but it all worked out.
Uh-huh.
So they had just came back from Alaska. I thought I heard them say they came back from Australia. Um,
Um,
but I just learned last year they went on a cruise to Alaska. But as a kid, I thought I heard Australia, and never heard of Australia at the time. Or I think only thing I knew about Australia was like kangaroos or
uh-huh.
like stuff like that. So I went to go research Australia, just in my room, just researching. And I came across an article about them having zero crime rate. And growing
Mm.
up in Baltimore, I'm like, wait a minute, zero crime rate? How? Where? What's
Right,
happening? How is that possible?
right.
So that moment of just ear hustling as a kid and digging into this research it just was stuck with me. And I'm like, I have to visit this place. I want to know what this place is about. Fast forward, I got a chance to move to California. Like I said, once in high school, I started just growing more into that person who wanted to just get out of Baltimore and see the world and see what was going on.
Uh-huh.
And I just knew deep down inside that my soul did not belong in Baltimore forever.
Got it.
Um, so I got an opportunity to move to California with one of my friends that I grew up with. And after living in California, I started to slowly meet more people that were either from Australia or visited Australia. And I got
Oh,
to learn more and grow and grow. And then I finally got to visit Australia. And that I took 30 days backpacking, and that's when the light bulb went off. And it was already after I had lived in California, which was a total 360 from living in,
right, right.
and I was already just experiencing a different lifestyle. Like my fun was, we would go hiking at least 3 times a week. Me and my friends. Hey, dude, want to go on a sunrise hike? And I'm like, I didn't do that growing up. You know what I mean? I
Wow.
got to jog on the beach as my gym time. And it was just so many experiences that I didn't get to do growing up. And it already started like, man, I really wish people growing up in Baltimore could see these things and experience these things. And then by the time I went to Australia and had a total 360 experience of like who I thought I was,
Right.
um, that's when it really clicked, like, okay, I have to start my own company so I can make sure that this is happening, that these kids are getting experiences outside of their comfort zone.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that you shared that story. That's amazing that you took what you experienced and your passion was, I need to share this with other people. I need other kids growing up where I grew up to experience this because I know what their current experience is, but I want them to know that this is possible too.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. So in starting your business journey, because you took a personal dream and you converted that into a business that made that dream come true for others. So, in your process of getting started, what was your beginning journey like? Like, did you use your own funds? Did you have investors? Did you have savings? Or how'd you get it off the ground?
Oh my gosh. Good question. Um, Honestly, first thing first, God, the universe.
Got you.
Like, I had, when I started my organization, I barely had money to feed myself. Um,
Um,
I was living with my cousin at the time in Long Beach, California. And thank God, my cousin, who's pretty much like an uncle, mentor, all that good stuff, because he's way, way older.
uh-huh.
But he it was from Baltimore as well. And, built an amazing life for itself coming from nothing. He marched with Martin Luther King and all of that,
Oh, wow.
experienced that type of lifestyle, and he built a really successful business in like insurance and stuff. And he was in the military. He was a pilot. He was a little bit of everything. So I was
Ah,
living with the right person
right.
at the time that I started, because although I didn't have money to get the business growing, like I would just all of the money was from me working. I was a bartender server at the time. And I would pay my bills, and then I would put money into my business. I got my website started, got some business cards, just the baby steps. But I was living with the right person because he was able to give me a lot of knowledge and share his wisdom of, one, just how travel, his stories of how travel had changed him from a
Ah,
little black boy coming out of Baltimore, was very um inspirational to me, and it was my motivation. So it kept me going of like, yes, that is
yes.
my why. Um, but he helped give me a lot of knowledge on just what it is to be a nonprofit, the steps you have to take and the laws you have to follow and this and that. So the first few years was a lot of learning. He
Hmm.
helped brainstorm a lot on, okay, who should you talk to today? what rooms do you need to put yourself in? You know, what questions do you need to ask and stuff like that. So he helped a lot with just guiding me through that process.
Got you.
Um, and then I finally got to a space. Again, I was living in California, but the business was Baltimore based because my passion was I wanted to start with Baltimore students, right?
Got
Because
it. Mhm.
home. So I was building this business in California away from where my target audience was. So it was a little, it was, it was a little backwards, but life, right? Life.
Right, right.
I had to keep on my personal journey in order to build the business the way that I wanted. So I was
Got it.
supposed to be in California. Then I
Mhm.
ended up moving to Hawaii, which made it even harder. But I was supposed to be there too, right?
Right.
So then I finally moved back to Baltimore and things start picking up. I was making all the right connections. I had people by my side to help me fundraise. I got my first group of students in and we got the ball rolling. So um, it took about 4 years before I was able to go on my first trip with my students.
Got
Um,
you.
but a
Got
lot
you.
of
That's
just hard work and being around the right people because
right.
I started with $0.
Got you. Got you. That's amazing. What I love about what you said there, and I'm going to ask you to dive in some, was that you recognize that you were in the right place, even though you weren't in, and you were not in Baltimore. You were in the right place because you were on your personal journey. And I find a lot of times us as business women, we kind of forget about that part of life. And we
Yeah,
think the business is like totally separate from your personal growth. You know, you can just do the numbers or do the structure and carry your business forward, but your business cannot grow beyond who you are,
yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
unless you stop and realize that and realize, I need to do some personal growth. It's not everything else is in place the way it needs to be. It's
Yeah.
me. I need to grow some so that I can be more developed, so that I can reach out more, so that I can attract more, right?
Yep.
Or
Hmm.
my mindset can be right. So I love that you were able to see that I'm in the right place for my personal growth because what's going on right now feels right,
Yes.
right? I can still build on this passion, but where I am, it feels it's giving me something. So
Yes.
tell us a
Yes.
little more about that. What were you getting when you were in California and
So
those
it's
different
funny. I
places?
love it gives me chills a little bit, like thinking about that time and just how you broke it down. Um, because some people forget about that, right? They forget about the personal journey
Totally.
while you're building your business and how important that personal journey is, and especially for this business in particular, right? Like my passion was sharing why travel is important, especially at a young age.
Uh-huh.
And for me, and it was, showing these kids how to live differently, how to
Yes.
live a life outside of their comfort zone. So for me, it was like, what better way to show up than to live the life, live by example, live the
Mm-hmm.
exact life that you're trying to, show them that they should experience. So it was like everything that I was experiencing, I was still living my, my West Coast life around different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds. Doing different activities that I can't do in Baltimore, I wouldn't do in
Right.
Baltimore. So I was still able to learn everything that I needed to learn to put into the business and make
Got
the
you.
business better. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
and my cousin, he used to say this all the time of why this was when we talked about like finances and getting funding and stuff like that. And it's something that I learned later on about why it's so important to get the funding that's just for operating costs outside of programming. So like
Right.
traveling with the kids and stuff like that would be the programming, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
pathways would be the programming. But just running a business, paying for your website,
Yes.
paying for all that, that's your operational, but also he was the one who taught me how I had to get to the place of being able to pay myself because I have to still be traveling. If Bianca isn't traveling, the business doesn't operate the way that it's supposed to operate.
Wow. Right.
You know what I mean? So
Wow.
if I'm not experiencing these great life-changing experiences, how am I going to give that to my kids?
I
You know,
love that. I love
how?
that.
How?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it
So,
helped on so
so
many ways.
yes. So it wasn't like I need to sacrifice everything and save every penny to build this. It was like I need to be a certain way to build this the way it
Yeah.
needs to be.
Yes. Yes.
I
Because
love that.
as I
That's a
continue to
big,
be, yeah,
yes.
as I
That's
continue
a
to see
big
that
deal.
funding is going to come, the money is going
Right.
to come. Of course, I still had to. Don't get me wrong. I was still working probably about 3, 4 jobs in California.
Uh-huh.
One, because in
Yes.
California it's expensive to live, but
Right.
I was still working 3, 4 jobs because I knew, okay, three, I had 3 categories. One, pay for myself for shelter and food. 2, put money into my business. And 3, be able to keep traveling.
Yes.
So, and the travel part was important because it was like, that is how, when they say, I know you heard the saying, like, with business, you gotta invest into your business, right? You need
Right.
money to make money and all that good stuff. Well, traveling is my investment into my business. That's how I build
Right.
connections around the world for my students to then bring my students back to these places. Because one thing about the way that we operate, I'm not gonna take my kids somewhere I haven't been, or I have a real serious connection there.
Got you.
Someone that I know on the ground. It has to be
Right.
one. So my
Right.
investment was investing into myself being able to travel.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I hope a light bulb went off for people when you said that, because one went off for me. Because a lot of times we work from the place of the stories we've heard of how you just gotta, you gotta, pour everything into it. You're gonna have all these lean years, and you
Mhm.
were able to take that information and understand that for what you're building, right? Your travel experiences were like the soul of the whole thing.
Yep.
That was the
Yep.
soul of it. So, like when you see a lot of people, they start out doing something or they start a business, but then it stops abruptly or they can't figure out where their passion went. Travel
Hmm.
was the passion that opened your eyes, that got you going with this. So you had
Yep.
to, it was like the lifeline. You had to keep that going.
Had to keep it. Yep.
But I
Yep.
can imagine a lot of people who would have thought, oh, well, I can't do this right now. I need to put this aside until I get this up. And then they would wonder why things are not going the way they should,
Yes.
because
Yes.
that passion has to be fed.
Oh my gosh.
You have to feed it. So I love that you said that. I really hope some people catch that, because that's really big.
Yes.
Because
Yes. And it helped the passion piece. I'm happy that you're using that word because I have a slogan that I live by of do it with passion, right? So
yes,
for some businesses, I understand. Some businesses, people start businesses based on their talents, their skills, and they know, hey, this can make me X amount of money, and I got to live a certain lifestyle. I want to live a certain lifestyle. I'm going to start this business because I know that it generates income.
yes,
No, I can do it with my eyes closed. So boom, this is my business. But then some of us start business based on our passions, and
yes,
things will get crazy. Things will get tough. You'll be flipped
yes.
upside down, pulling your hair out, and everything in between. But for me, every time something isn't going my way, and I always kind of stop myself and ask those questions. Are you doing this with passion?
Mm,
This particular project that you're working on, or this particular the idea, or this partnership that you're trying to build, or whatever. Like, are you doing it with passion? Does it still feed the passion? You know what I mean? Does it still go
right.
with purpose? Because sometimes we get caught up in, and it's not really caught up, it's just the way of life, right? Like sometimes we're so focused on bringing in the money
Uh-huh.
that sometimes we're going about it the wrong way, or bringing
Right.
it in from the wrong places.
There you go.
They're like, oh, well, why isn't this working out? Well, you brought it in from the wrong source. or your
Right.
energy wasn't even aligned with how that money was supposed, you know what I mean? Like it's so
Right.
it's so many things. So for me, because I built this business on passion, I remind myself, keep the passion alive. Keep the passion
Yes.
that you have to keep investing into you. If sometimes you got to invest a little into you traveling and then bring some things back to the students a year or so later, that's what it is. Like keep the passion alive because that's what's going to keep the business alive on your hardest days. Outside,
Right.
if I don't want to do it with passion, then I'm going to go start something else that I don't care about that's just going to make money.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Great points. Great points. I love how you said staying in touch with your passion is what keeps you going on the hardest days because they're going to be hard days.
Oh,
To your
yeah.
point, you're going to be turned upside down sometimes because
Yeah.
this business journey is not for the faint of heart.
No, no.
Because the ideal, when you get the ideal in, that first feeling of this is what I want to do, that is just a sliver of the entire process, right?
Yes.
That flame is just a sliver of what you're going to go through to have to
Yes.
get this done.
Yes.
So, and to your point, if that flame is not kept hot all the time, right? If it's not sustainable, if it's
Mm-hmm.
just a flash in the pan, I feel this today, tomorrow, I really don't care. You're never going to build a
Your
business with
days are
it.
going to be harder. And something else that I live by too is surrounding myself by others that are as passionate as me
Yes,
about what I'm doing, or they have something else that they're passionate about that they're building, because then
yes,
we can help each other in different ways. Even if they might not care too much about me traveling with kids, right? That might
right,
be their thing. That's not everybody's thing. Some people don't like kids at all, so they're like, I don't care. No, I don't care
right,
what you're doing with these kids.
right.
But they have something else that they're passionate about, and it helps, like
Yes,
we help each other stay on that path of I'm not just out here doing it just to do it. You know what I
right,
mean? Like
right.
when it gets hard, what can we do to keep each other up? Like because we
Yes,
want to get crazy. What can we do to keep each other up and reminding each other of our passion and our purpose? Because I
yes.
don't want to be out here just doing things to do it. I mean, yeah, I wish $1 million could just come into my bank account every day, just
Hmm.
from whatever, I don't know, pressing
Right, right.
keyboard. But it's so hard for me to live that life. I'm a passionate person. I know that I have a deep purpose. So it's like, yeah, let me make sure I have people around me who understand that. And if I kind of, go off track a little bit, they'll bring me back, reminding me, listen, this is who you are, B.
Right.
What's your passion? Where's your purpose?
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So, two things I want to go a little deeper in. One is when you speak of having people around you that have a like mindset and they understand what you're going through and they understand how to encourage you. Have you had the experience where the people around you have changed along your journey? As you got more deeper and dedicated and successful in building your nonprofit, have you had some relationships that fell off because of that? And two, when you talk about um, being cognizant that the funding that you're getting or the money that you're going after is coming from the right places. How do you tune in to be able to recognize that?
Mm, mm,
So if you
mm,
can
mm.
speak a little on those two.
So I have a really good example that's recent to the second question, but I'm gonna answer number one first.
Okay.
Yes, to sum it up, yes. Now, what I can say is I've experienced a little bit of both, right? So I've experienced relationships that, kind of, and I don't say like fall off and like dead or anything like that, but kind of just float into their own direction, right?
Gotcha.
And simply because of one, I try not to have no hate or anything like that in my blood for anything. And I know that everything happens for a reason, but I think simply because as you get deeper into your passion and deeper into your purpose, and you continue to grow and you
Uh-huh.
continue to learn things, because Lord, have I made a million mistakes, right?
Right.
So many mistakes that I can probably write a book. So, But as you begin to learn from your mistakes and you know that you want to grow, you want to keep growing,
Yes.
then you start to drift away from certain people because you understand that they're not growing. They're not growing and they don't want to grow as bad as you, maybe.
Got it.
Or maybe they do, but again, everybody's on what does Nipsey Hussle say? It's a marathon. So everybody's kind of on their own pace, right?
Got you. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't get mad at that. I'm like, we gotta drift away because maybe you do want to grow, but you don't want to grow at the same pace that I'm going. We gotta switch. Things gotta change. So
Right.
those relationships fall off. But then what I also noticed on the opposite side is relationships that got better, only
Okay.
because of you know how you're starting off, you have these dreams, you have these goals, etc. And you speak life into people, you speak certain things into people's lives, and they're kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, right? They don't see it the way you see it. They don't believe it.
Right.
Um, and that's okay. I am a big believer of leading by example because we can
Uh-huh.
say things all day. It's
Yes.
so many things I've said that I wasn't able to do, or
Uh-huh.
so many things I said and it's like I kind of you know what I mean? Your mind change or whatever. It's all about what you're actually doing. So when people started to see, oh, okay, she is actually doing, like she's actually
Ah,
doing the work. She's actually showing me that, yeah, if I get out of my comfort zone, I can live a really good life. You know what I mean?
right.
So once people started like seeing those actions, then those relationships started to get better because then they probably are on the same, like from the opposite,
Ah,
are on the same pace of I want to grow too. And
got you.
I'm kind of on the same, I'm going the same at the same speed as you. I want to grow right here with you. Continue to show me now. Or
Yeah.
I can help you. I can help you get to where you are. I couldn't back then when you were saying some things, probably couldn't, do anything, or I just didn't understand or I didn't see it. But guess what? I actually have some resources for you and I want to see you grow. Let me
Got
help
it.
you grow. Let's grow together. So I've seen
Mm,
a little bit of both.
I
Um,
love that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, which is great. Which is great.
Yes.
Everything happens for a reason. I don't take anything personal. People that you fall off with, I believe, hey, look, you might pick them up later on in life. Y'all might meet each other on another train somewhere later on. It's all good, right?
Yes.
And then to your question of the funding,
Yes.
and how you asked, let me just repeat it just so I'm on the same page. Um, you asked like how to identify if I am if the funding is aligning with my purpose, if I'm
Yes.
I'm on the right page with that, right? Um,
Definitely. Yes.
so one, of course, just like any business, like when you're reaching out to funders and stuff like that, you want to figure out a way that you can also benefit them as well,
Mm-hmm.
um, because then that helps both businesses align. So if I
Right.
that's like one, like okay, if we have some alignment, I could benefit you, you could benefit me. This sounds like a great deal. If it starts getting to a space where okay, they can, and some people don't think about this, where that business can only benefit me and I
Uh-huh.
can benefit them, that's when I might start asking questions like, as much as I really need this money,
Uh-huh.
can I really even do anything for them? I mean, yes, if they want to donate, cool. But outside of that, I just start questioning things. And then it's also about the energy that you get when you're talking to funders, when you're talking to investors and stuff like that. So, for example, a funder that I'm working with right now, his company wants to sponsor our students to travel. Well, and this is again goes back to I have to be living for my passion, right? I have to be traveling,
Yes.
be experiencing new things to bring it back into my kids because now these are experiences that I could teach them lessons. Um, so we were in Colombia, my husband and I, and we decided to do a boat day last minute. We're boat lovers. Everywhere we
Uh-huh.
go, probably on a boat. So last minute we decided to do a boat day, but my friend who lives there in his town, he's like, well, I don't know anybody with boats. Just go down to the dock and figure it out. And those are the type of people we are. We're just going to figure it out. We went down to the dock and we're like, hey, what's up? Boat? Can we get on the boat? And the lady's like, you have 25 minutes. This boat will be, this boat will pull off in 25 minutes. And mind you, we weren't even, it's like, how do you want to do? We thought that it was going to go our way, right? A lot of times we think life is going to go our way and it doesn't.
Uh-huh.
We thought we had all the time in the world. We thought that we were going to get down there, we were going to reserve a boat, then we were going to go back to the house, we were going to have breakfast, then go back to the house, change for boat day, and then
Ah.
no, God was like, not today. So she was like, you got 25 minutes. And we were like, okay, well, we're going to pay now so we can definitely, you hold our spot. We're going to run across the street. So we ran across the street, grabbed like a little bite to eat or whatever, really fast, grabbed some towels, kept it pushing. We get on the boat and we're like, maybe 30 minutes. It was a sailboat. So we're like, but it was sail and motor. So we're like 30 minutes out into sailing.
Uh-huh.
And we're meeting the rest of the people on the boat. We're having fun. Thank God we brought beers because for some reason the staff on the deckhands, they weren't bringing out the beers and stuff yet, right? And everybody's ready to party a little bit. So we had beers. So we're passing out beers like, hey, you want a beer? Everybody gets a beer. So we started making friends. And about 30, 40 minutes out, the boat breaks down.
Ooh.
Boat breaks down. So we're like, okay, me and my husband is just, and not only did it break down, but the tide is, it was a rocky ride, okay? The wind was really high. So, but it still felt great outside. It was still a beautiful day. So anyway, we ended up having to sail back. So we didn't get to go island hopping and the whole journey. Package. It was a whole package, right? We had a barbecue on one island, another island, snorkel, all that stuff. We didn't get to do any of that because we had to turn around and go back to be safe,
right.
Make sure back. And on a journey back, we got to really build with the other people on the boat even more because we were helping people calm down. And then my husband was like really chill about it and stuff like that. In that process, we meet the guy that was like traveling with his family. I would say he was like head of the family. He was bringing them there. He brought them to Colombia to experience Colombia. So my husband building a relationship with him and, sharing like, oh yeah, well, my wife has a nonprofit. She travels with high school students, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, oh, that's awesome. My company, we try to do stuff with students and da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, that turned into, hey, let's connect when we get back to the US. When we got back to the US, my husband and I, before we had a call with him, because we set up a meeting and everything, before we had a call with him, my husband and I said, the only reason that we were supposed to be on that boat that day was to meet him.
Yes.
This is where I say like energy, right? Because these are our thoughts. The only reason why we were on that boat that day was to meet another sponsor.
Right.
When I get on the call with him, the first thing he says is, I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that the only reason why we were on that boat that day was to meet you.
Wow.
So to me, that means, and mind you, his company, he's in like furniture company and some other stuff.
Okay.
He isn't, I wouldn't say like he's fully aligned with travel, but the energy right there shows me, okay, there's the alignment right there.
Right.
So this is the type of funding I want because this is someone who believes the same, have some of the same thoughts that we were thinking and believe the same thing that we believe. And he wants to support the kids because he understands why it's important for kids to travel.
Got you.
So stuff like that is what I look for. I always look for the energy align, do our missions align, and can I benefit them, even if not now, maybe in the long run, stuff like that.
Right. I love that. I think that's a great story and a great point that you make about being able to be a benefit to others too, because having the right energy, one, is very important because a lot of times we find ourselves in positions that we're thinking, if we're thinking just about the end game, like the money, as opposed to how are we getting it. Um, a lot of times we can make the wrong decisions, or we can try to fit into boxes that are really not for us, right?
Right.
We're
Yep.
just we're just reaching wherever we can to get some because we're feeling desperate, right?
Yep.
As
Yep.
opposed to knowing the right thing is going to come. And that desperation, we make some bad decisions. We overlook that bad energy feeling that we get, right? That says this may not be right, but it's $10,000 and I need some money. So,
Exactly.
and we'll go ahead and say yes, and then end up struggling to try to make it work because it's really not aligning with
Not for us.
who you are. You're right. It's not for you. It's there.
My
There's a
mother used to
lot of
always
stuff out
say,
there, right?
my
But
mother used to always say,
everything's not for you.
all money ain't good money.
It's not. It's not. So we have to remember, even when we're feeling desperate, that it still needs to align. It still has to be the right match, or it won't last.
Yeah.
It won't turn into something good. So
Yeah.
I love that. And the like there are no what do they call it? Um there are no I can't think of the word I'm trying to say right now, but to your point, everything happens for a coincidences. There are no
Yes. Yes.
coincidences, not
Yes.
coincidental that you
Yes.
just had to go down to that particular boat and you had 25 minutes and and that y'all were stalled enough to be there to build, relationships. No coincidences. It was meant to be, but you have to be aware in situations like that, because a lot of times we can be in the right
Ooh.
place with the right people and we're in the wrong energy, right? We're
Yep.
not thinking, okay, what could this mean for me? What
Yep.
could this positively mean for me, right? So instead of, like you said, the other people on the boat were kind of freaking out and you were calming them down, instead of being one of the people freaking out, you were the calm person, like, oh, it's gonna be okay, right?
Yes.
So in
Yes.
situations, we have to stop and take, not just as business people either, but just as human
As
beings
humans.
in
And at
situations.
the end of the day, we're all human.
Yes,
We are
exactly.
all human and we're all
Yes,
dealing with some of the same issues. And just being a human being will get you places.
yes, yes,
A human will get you into some of the right places at the right time and open up doors for opportunities. Sometimes you just got to be human. That's something that I definitely had to learn. Um, it took me a while to learn that, especially being in a position of, being a nonprofit. And majority of the time, I'm asking for money. I'm asking for money. I'm
yeah,
asking for money. And I had to learn that. My husband, he did a really good job with helping me understand, baby, at the end of the day, you're human and the person you're asking for money is human. Be a
yes,
human being. You'll probably
yes,
get the money if you be a human being versus trying to be a robot or
yes.
president of the company. And
I love that. I love that because we struggle with that, because we see people who are where we want to be, who've already made it in their journey to a place we're trying to get to. And we
yep.
look at them and they seem polished and they seem to have it all together. And we think, um, I guess I need to play like I'm that person to
Yes.
get there,
Yes.
right? I need to pretend, I need to fake it, as opposed to they weren't always that person. They
Exactly.
had to grow to that person
Yep.
and they would see you where you are.
Yep.
But we get so caught up in, I got to match this picture that I see. And if I don't match that picture, sometimes it causes us to give up too soon, right? But I never get to that. I never be that. I'm not like that.
Yes.
But you can be yourself and be successful being you.
Yep.
Because we hear a lot, and I even say it a lot, there's only one you in this universe. Only
Yes.
one you. So why are you trying to copy everything, everybody else? Like, we can be aware of processes, procedures, structures,
Mhm.
information. All that is good. Knowledge is
Yep.
good, but
Yep.
trying to actually copy exactly what somebody else is doing all the time, and so
Yep.
much that you're not yourself anymore, right? It's like it really costs us and it costs the whole universe because
Oh
we
my
need
God,
more for
it costs
you.
you so much
Yes.
time, it costs you so much money. One of my biggest things that I tell myself, and I stick by it, is when I go into these rooms, I want to be able to show up as Bianca.
Yes.
I want them to be able to see me as Bianca. And when they decide to give the funding, I want them to know I'm gonna stay that way. You know what I mean? I
Yes.
want them to know how we're operating business, how we, as they say now, how we're standing on business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to think, oh, I'm this way and all this other stuff. And then they give money and then they learn that I'm a totally different person. No,
Right.
I'm showing up as me. And if you don't like who I am,
Yes.
you don't have to give me the money, because there's going to be somebody else that might give the money. Or I'm going to,
Exactly.
because of the person that I am, I'm going to figure out how to get the money.
Yes.
So,
Yes. That
you know what I
part.
mean? I really want your check. I hope that you write this check, but
Right.
not going to change who I am. And I I think about that all the time, especially right now, because we're rebranding a few things. We're redoing our website, making just making it look completely different feel. And as I'm doing this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of business owners have been through this of, okay, what do you want? I always think, what do I want people to feel when they come on my website, right? And for
Yes.
a long time, because like some web designers, they'll say, well, most web designers, I guess, and people who are doing projects for you, they'll say, okay, send me examples of things that you like, or businesses or websites
Right.
aspire to be like, et cetera, right? Because then it helps guide them in the direction that you're going. So as I'm
Exactly.
sending examples, I always think of like, what do I want people? It's not like only what I want them to see when they come
Right.
to the website, but what do I want them to feel when they're on the website? And
Yes.
being in this nonprofit space, and I guess in any business space, sometimes it can get hard to just be yourself, because you're thinking,
Yes.
oh, you think of business etiquette, right? And oh, this has to look this way, this has to be this way, and this has to go this way. And I look at other websites of companies that I really like, or I just like their colors or their designs and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, I probably do need to have this, or I need to have this. Oh, I need this, and I need to do this, and I need this to look like this. But as I'm going through that, I have to constantly remind myself, Bianca, what do you want people to feel? It's
Yes.
not about just what they see. I want them to
Yes.
feel a certain way when they come on my website. And I don't want them
Right.
to feel like when they come on Learning to Live website, because in the life, it's like, I want that the name of my business, I want that to stick, and for people to understand what it really means deep down inside, learning to
Right.
live. Because a lot of times we learn to survive, you know,
Yes.
we're learning.
Ah.
So it's like, when you come on there, I want you to feel like you're learning something, for one, and then you're also learning how to just really live.
Oh, I
While
love
you're going
that.
through learning about us and what we do and how we do it, I don't want you to come on and just feel like you're on another corporation's website,
Right.
you
Right.
know? So
Wonderful. Wonderful. I love that. I love that. So that's the meaning behind learning to live, right? Because you're right. We learn survival skills, and sometimes you can go through you can graduate a senior in high school and still not have good survival skills,
exactly,
right? You still
exactly.
there's a lot of stuff you don't know about how money works. There's a lot of things you don't know about
Yes,
savings, investing,
a
and
lot.
all that life stuff and emotional intelligence. There's a lot of stuff we don't know about how to survive, but then learning to beyond that survival, beyond those basic skills that we need and knowledge that we need, learning to live a life,
Yes.
right?
And for me, travel taught me how I wanted to live. Because the
Ah,
other piece of that is, we we learn how to live and survive different ways, right?
yes,
And sometimes when we grow up in small towns and inner cities and stuff like that, we try to fit into like that, to what we know, what that is,
right.
and that's going on in our bubble. And like I said, as a teen and as I was growing, I knew that my soul didn't belong in Baltimore for so
Mm,
long. and I was just existing. I was just
Right.
existing. I was doing what my friends were doing. I was, making sure I always had a new outfit for every party that we went to, and this
Right.
and that, and just making sure that I fit into my environment. But
Mm.
once I started to travel, once I moved to California first, and then
Uh-huh.
started to really travel and learn different ways of living, I really realized, wait a minute, I am learning to live for me, not everybody
Right.
else out there. But now this is what life looks like for Bianca.
Yes. I
I'm
love
learning
that.
to live for me. I don't have to
Yes.
do it your way. And oh
Yes.
my God, once I started learning to live that, my friends was like, here she go. Cause I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do it that way.
Right. I love that. I love that. Learn to live from, as opposed to your point, when you're growing up, it is a lot about fitting into that scene, not feeling out of place.
Yep.
So when do you get to stop and discover who you really are, right?
Yep. Yep.
When do you turn your energies to invest in figuring that out,
Hmm.
right? Who am I? What do I really like? What really speaks to my soul? What am I passionate about? What do I really want to do as a career? You
Yep.
know, who do I really care about, giving to, contributing to? It's a whole journey.
It's a
It's a
journey.
whole journey, but it has to be intentional, right?
Hmm.
Because if you're not living intentionally, you would just go with the flow of whatever's going on, who's ever doing what, and you never get to who you really are.
Exactly. And then you end up older and realizing, oh, wait a minute, I done wasted all this time
Yes. And you
living
think
the
about,
life that I thought I was supposed to live.
right.
And
But
it's
I
like,
like the,
learn that early. I need my kids to learn that early because I am
yes,
tired of being an adult and just, oh, I wish I knew this growing up. Or
yes,
I wish somebody taught me this growing up. Or I wish I would have started this growing up. And it's like, okay, no, what can I do to make
right,
sure that our students are learning this at a young age? So by the time they grow up, it's like, oh yeah,
right.
I learned that, I did that, and this is why this is who I am, and I'm confident.
Yes, yes. So why do you think, and I think so too, why do you think just the experience of travel is so soul and mind opening? Why do you
One
think so?
because one of the biggest things is, how they say, I've heard the saying, or I've seen the quote plenty of times about, you can't grow in your comfort zone.
Mm,
And
yes,
it's so true because when you're outside of your comfort zone, that's when so many things are happening, right? So you don't
yes,
have a choice but to grow because you're learning.
right.
Inside your comfort zone, you pretty much know everything. You're a know-it-all. It's nothing
Yes,
anybody can tell you. You know what street to turn right,
right,
not to turn right on. You know what's going to happen at this moment. You know what this person is going to say. You know how this is going to go. When you're traveling and you're in these foreign environments, you don't know. You don't know
ah,
if you should turn down this street and it's going to be some good stuff or it's going to be some bad stuff. You don't know
mm,
where to go to get, the food that you want. You don't know they might be speaking languages that you have no idea what they're saying.
right.
Everything is different. So you're constantly learning. You're
Got
learning
it.
how people operate. You're learning how people move. Just sitting back when you're traveling, just sitting back watching people. You're learning how people move. And sometimes sometimes you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they move the same way as me. So now I know what that means in this
Right,
whatever. But because you are in a foreign environment, you're constantly learning. And you're learning the things that you're not
mm,
learning in school every day. So
right.
you're constantly growing. So to me, it's
Ah,
like, like, yeah, after you learn what you learn in school, then it's time to get out in the world and learn
yeah.
and be stretched. Just stretch, like stand up, stretch your arm,
Yes.
touch it, touch a different place, eat
Yes.
some different food. It's some people, I know some people who, in their 40s and still haven't tried like Indian food or,
Right.
certain food. They won't do it. Nope, chicken wing. And it's okay. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. don't get me wrong. If you are fine where you are and you're happy and you're comfortable and all that good stuff, that is okay. I'm not
Uh-huh.
against, I'm not, you know what I mean? It's okay.
Right.
I just know from my own experiences and from people that I've met, I see that there are a lot of people ahead in life because they were able to be out of their comfort zone. At some point in life, they were able to be out of their comfort zone. You know, when they were young, they were able to learn things that they didn't learn, they wouldn't have learned in school. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it put them ahead of the game. So
Right.
for me, I want our kids to be ahead of the game. I'm tired of our black and brown kids being behind, and us as adults, we're being behind on everything. I'm tired of that. So
Right.
we're going to remove ourselves from our comfort zone. We're going to learn some new things, and
Uh,
hopefully that's going to help us grow. But I know for sure travel will definitely help you grow because
yes.
you'll be stretched in some ways that you didn't know you could stretch.
Exactly. I love that. I thank you for breaking that down. That made it very clear, how travel affects your mind and your spirit because you don't have a choice because you don't know what's going to happen, right? It
But
puts you
choice,
in a
unless you
place
want
where,
to get on
yeah,
that flight
you
and go back.
exactly, exactly. Wow, I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yep.
Wonderful. So in talking about your business, your nonprofit that you started, what would you say is the largest challenge today for you in learning to live?
Ooh. um, one of the it's so sad to say it, but straight up funding.
Okay.
And only because it's a few things, and I don't like to look at it as a bad thing because it's an area of growth.
Okay.
And I'm learning a lot, right? So, um, with most nonprofits, again, we're always asking, asking, asking.
Right.
And I think it's it's challenging because I don't like asking for money.
Got you.
Now,
Got you.
I'm learning to get better. It's just the way that my mom raised me. Look, go figure it out. Don't ask nobody for nothing.
Right.
Go work. So that's why for a really long time, the nonprofit was funding from my own salary. Um, but especially now without me having that salary, I'm pushed outside of my comfort
There
zone.
you go. Okay.
Sure that I'm now learning other ways to fund my nonprofit, and those challenges are now fun. They're
Got
fun.
you.
They're exciting. Um, they're hard,
Yeah.
but I'm learning and I'm growing. And I'm
Got you.
understanding that it's it's confirmation for me as well of that a lot of things are built off of relationships.
Got
So
you.
if I want this funding to keep coming, I got to continue to build the right solid
Right.
relationships, and maintain those relationships. And then
Mm.
also, it pushes me into my creative zone of getting creative of ways that I can generate revenue.
There you
Um,
go.
and thank God I've been pushed into that zone because, again, I don't have a salary anymore. So I've been pushed into that zone and it's been working out.
Oh, good.
You get into your comfort zone, you're forced into certain spaces where it's like, all right, so either I'm going to stay in this box or I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna
There you
stretch,
go.
reach out,
There
and
you go.
I started stretching, and now we're growing. We are growing because
Good.
I've been pushed into, pushed out of my comfort zone. So the biggest challenge is funding because
Got
then
it.
that helps with a lot of the other challenges. Um, but we're making it happen.
Got you. Got you. Wonderful. Now, do you have any upcoming events for
Um,
Learning to Live?
as of right now, no. We have events coming up that I'm working on with my business partner.
Okay.
They're not LTL like fundraising events per se.
Okay.
Those events, $1 from every ticket will be donated to LTL. So it's
Okay.
one of my business partners. He has a production company, and he does like upscale events for young professionals. So
Okay.
he has a R&B on the Water series in DC um,
Okay.
all summer. So $1 from every ticket will be donated to the organization. So if you want to come party, have a good
Oh,
time,
great. Uh-huh.
You can come party, let your hair down, and know that, hey, something
Right.
to the kids. So yeah, but
Wonderful, wonderful.
we
We'll be
we will
sure
have
to.
something coming up in the fall.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah,
We'll be sure to put that information and your information in the show notes so that our audience can keep in touch and they can reach out if they want to, if they're in that area and want to, attend some of those events. That'd be great for them to know.
yeah,
So it's been a blast talking with you, Bianca, and learning so much about your business, your nonprofit, learning to live, your passion behind it, and your journey and building it. And I love that you are in a constant state of being intentional and recognizing your growth,
yeah,
your personal growth to build you so that your business, your nonprofit can grow to the extent that you desire it to. So
yeah,
that's wonderful. So
yeah.
we're going to close with asking you a couple of fun questions so that our audience can get to know Bianca, the person. They've heard about Bianca, the businesswoman. So the first one we're going to begin with this. What was your favorite childhood game?
Ooh, my favorite childhood game. So I know this is funny, but I used to love playing 007 with so two things, 007 and Mario with my brothers.
Okay.
I used to love hanging out with my brothers. I was a tomboy. I wanted to always get dirty
Uh-huh.
and so Mario was always a good time to play with my brother where I wasn't getting beat up. And 007 was a good time to play with my brother where I wasn't getting beat up too. And then we would bring in our cousins. So it was always like a big family thing. So those are my
Yeah.
two.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, who was your favorite teacher, either in high school or college, and why?
Ooh.
Well,
So
even grade school, you any year in school,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
why?
So I had a favorite teacher, and it's funny because I can't remember her name, but I cannot remember her name because I think I was like in elementary school or something like that.
Uh-huh.
She was my favorite because she never pronounced my name right. And I just thought it was funny. And now I just always thought it was funny when she called my name.
Uh-huh.
But she was always really nice. She was really nice and fun and stuff like that. But now it's even funnier that I loved her because I loved her personality and stuff like that. Because the way that she pronounced my name, I didn't know I had an accent until I moved to California, of course.
Uh-huh.
And as you travel the world and you live in different places, now I live in Florida, so I still, I get to hear my accent.
Uh-huh.
Um, but Baltimore has a unique way of talking, as
Okay.
as a lot of people know. We just cut things off. We're just not saying it right sometimes on purpose, sometimes just because we might not even know. We thought that we
Right.
say it all out loud. We don't pronounce things. We're just out of the bubble, right? And so when someone is from Baltimore, and now I know why she never said my name right because she was straight up Baltimore.
Ah.
Yeah, she was straight up Baltimore. She
How does she pronounce your name?
she used it was one or two ways. Most of the time it was like Bianca ghetto. And and then another time when she started to learn that she wasn't gonna write and she was trying to do it right, I forgot what it was, but it was not Bianca. But I loved her for it. She called it. I knew she was talking to me.
Got you. Wonderful, wonderful. What would you say is your favorite meal or food, type of food?
Oh, tacos.
Really?
I love
Any
tacos. I
any
can eat.
kind of tacos?
So I don't eat meat anymore. But when
Okay.
I did eat tacos, I used to love beef tacos. But I don't eat beef anymore. So I do fish, shrimp, or veggies.
Got you.
But tacos is I can eat tacos all day, every day. And outside of just like a full meal situation, um, I think I could live off of tacos and chocolate chip cookies. I'll be good.
I
And well,
think I can live with you. That sounds like a wonderful meal plan for every meal. It'll fill everything, every
yeah,
bite.
I'll be good to
I love
go.
that. That's beautiful. Okay, and one last thing, since you are travels in your soul, is there anywhere you haven't been that you really want to go when
Ooh,
you
everywhere.
traveling?
Um, yes, there are a few places, I have a lot of places I haven't been that I really want to go. But I do want to go and spend some time in Thailand.
Okay.
I was supposed to go there when I was in Australia and I didn't make it. I was broke. Time was ticking. So I didn't
Gotcha.
make it over, but I do want to go over there and hang out and experience that. Um, I'm thinking somewhere else I want to go, but I've been there, but I just want to go back because I love it so much. But yeah, Thailand for the most part.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
And then the last question, in all that you do in building your nonprofit and keeping it going and your personal growth, what do you do when you need to take care of you, when you need to maintain your mental healthiness, when you need to rest your soul? What do you do to take care of that area of yourself?
A lot of times I love to read. Um, so I have my books by my bedstand, and I'll just write
Uh-huh.
whichever. Reading helps a lot, but outside of that, I love like me and my husband, we're water people.
Uh-huh.
So I'm at the beach. I don't care what I'm doing. I don't need the umbrella. I don't need anything. I just need to sit and just look at the water.
Got you.
So
You're in the right state for that.
yes, yes. So as long as I'm on the water, or near the water,
Yes.
that's my self-care,
Oh,
that
wonderful.
that's everything for me.
Wonderful.
I can go, I can pray, I can talk to myself, I can, just soak in the ocean for a little bit. Like as long as I'm near the water, I'm good to go and I can regroup and get it back together.
Got you. I love that. I love that. And that's for free. So
Yeah.
even better, even better. Okay, well, thank you so much for being with us today, Bianca, and sharing your journey with us. It was so wonderful hearing about all that you do with Learning to Live, and we wish you much success going
Thank
forward in the future.
thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure.